Hello, 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 and welcome to Monday Night Live, aka the Hangout Stream, aka the Chill Stream, baby. In the year of our Lord, for 8/22/2022, and brought to you by yours truly, the man, broadcasting from behind the curtain. You know who I am. Because if you don't know by now, you better act like you know. Or visit www.livefree.liverich.com. Or there's another option. We like options. Simply Google this name and you can find out. Now, for those of you who already know, welcome to the show. Go ahead, drop me a comment, say hello. There's no need to be shy. Like I always say, I just like to know who took the time to stop by. And for the rest of you who don't know, because perhaps you're new, that's okay too, because I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you. Hey, Sam. As far as I'm concerned, I'm here to fill the role of producer. So I come on here 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Pacific every Monday night, and I boot up this live stream so we all can come together, readers and writers alike. And you guys supply me with things to talk about. And in return, I fulfill my role and raise awareness for various projects from around the underground scene. Gives me a chance to become acquainted with you. You get a chance to get to know me. And together, we discover what's going down within the realm of independent publishing. Which brings me right into my first segment of the night, where I like to shine a spotlight on some books that are currently available or coming soon to an online store near you. So, without further ado, from Bryony Best, she writes, "The Girl from Pompey is a brutally honest account of living with and overcoming addiction to sex, alcohol, and drugs, overcoming mental illness, sharing 10 years of research data on happiness and fulfillment." Okay. This is her book, The Girl from Pompey, Discovering the Key to Happiness and Fulfillment by Bryony Best. How's Sam doing tonight? You try those macaroons yet? Coconut macaroons with honeydew melon, I'm telling you. Chef's kiss. Oh, I'll answer that question. I have not had macaroons in a while. I have not either. Usually, when I'd eat them, they're usually at, I don't actually go out of my way to buy them. But anytime I'd go to, there was this China buffet that I'd go to. Anytime that I'd go to, I'd have that for dessert, part of my dessert. Why is it sharing the whole thing? Just this. Oh, well. Oh, I know why it's doing that. There we go. All right, here's the blurb. Bryony Best was born and raised in Portsmouth. Okay, so apparently this is kind of like this is a memoir of some sort, perhaps. Let's see what it says. Bryony Best was born and raised in Portsmouth. As an ex-drug addict and alcoholic, she has overcome many life challenges, including near death. Bryony is a girl on a mission. She has a burning question inside of her. What is happiness and fulfillment? Who has it, and how can she get it? Who has it? Give me it. Follow Bryony on her journey as she searches for answers, seeking them from the people who cross her path. As her quest unfolds, will she find the answers? Bryony was once in a very dark place. She has overcome an alcoholic father, addiction, attempts by others to take her life. Jeez. And along the way, she is desperately trying to find her way back to herself. Family fences need mending, and so does her life. But the real question is, are you happy and fulfilled? Coming in at 157 pages. Like I say, sounds kind of like a memoir or autobiography kind of deal. Categorized under motivational self-help. Now, to answer your question, you think books should be made into movies or TV shows? I don't know. It's, for me, I don't think that it's so much like a matter of like, should it be one way or the other? However, like say if you were to ask me if I could have any of my stories turn into a movie or a TV show, I've kind of answered that question before. I think like if it was like movies, I do have certain stories. I write mostly short stories, but I do have some short stories that I think could translate or be adapted into a movie. I think they would be interesting as like a movie. But as far as TV series go, there are some stories that I think are better as like TV series. I don't know. I think from a business standpoint, I would like to see like a piece of work turn into a TV series because that would gain a lot more exposure over a period of time than say just one movie would. But then again, it also depends how well the movie was made too. What do you think? Do you write stuff, by the way? I don't know if I've ever asked you that. I know that you've written essays before, haven't you? Because I usually see you on OG Rose's channel, like when he does those Friday talks, and you're usually in there. I know that you engage in like philosophical type chats and whatnot, but I just wasn't sure if you have like a blog or if you write essays or whatnot, or if you've published any fiction. What's this? Oh, okay. I've never read any of the Harry Potter. I have watched the movies though. I made it a point to watch all of the Harry Potter movies, but I haven't read the books, at least not yet. I'm not really interested in the books or reading the books, to be honest. I am going to get back into some fantasy. I bought the first book from the Sword of Truth series, so I'm going to be reading that at some point. I know a lot of people aren't. That's not a favorite for a lot of people when it comes to fantasy. When people talk fantasy on Booktube, at least, they're always talking about malazans. That's what they like to talk about. But yeah, I'm not huge into fantasy, but I'm willing to like give it a shot. See if I like it. It's quite a commitment, you know what I mean? The series go on for quite a few books, typically. Yes, I noticed that. I noticed that. I've been watching your videos. I don't comment. I don't comment on all the videos because I don't really feel like I have a lot to say because I actually haven't read. I haven't read Kafka. I know of Kafka, and I know of the what is it? I want to read the Metamorphosis. Is that the one? The one that he's most known for? The one where he's like basically he's talking about a man, he becomes a bug or something like that, or compares him to being like a bug in comparison to the power of the state, something along those lines. Am I in the ballpark there? Anyways, that's the one that I want to read. Okay, who we got next up? Oh man, this one's harder to read. Sacred Blood. This is coming from Eric. Let me put up the banner. That might be easier for me to see. It comes from Eric Tessin. Sacred Blood. In the year 2081, the world as we know it has begun to fade as the new race of superhumans takes over. All right, let's check this out. I'll continue this. I'm sure it'll be in the blurb. Sacred Blood. We're going to talk about the blood. The blood. In the year 2081, the world as we know it has begun to fade as a new race of superhumans takes over. President Adam McNeil and his team of scientists are responsible for unleashing an uncontrollable force onto Earth. Each superhuman must decide what side of the impending war they will fall on, as the lines between good and evil are blurred. War is coming. What side will you be on? Join Spike Staggs as he tries to stop the inevitable end for himself and for others. Sacred Blood by Eric Tessin. 160 pages of superhero science fiction, dystopian science fiction, superhero fantasy. The blood. Old people being thrown away. Yeah, but we have Social Security in our country, right? Don't even get me started on that. Don't even get me started on that subject, Sam. Social Security. Sucking the blood of the youth. Kafka. See, I got to read them. I think my work was compared to, I was told that someone said that I was Kafka-esque. I don't know what stories they were reading, but that's why reason why I want to read Kafka is I'm like, all right, well, if someone saying that I am Kafka-esque, then I want to really know what that's about. I looked it up on Wikipedia, and I'm like, well, I could sort of see that. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I get into the dystopian stuff. I get into the more. I like books that are philosophical in nature. I like books that are trying to say something. Even if I don't agree with the message, I don't have to agree with the message to enjoy the literature. That's the thing. And I feel like sometimes people get a little too up in arms about books, and then that's when they start using the language like, oh, this book is quote unquote problematic and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I've never looked at books in that way. I've never once, aside from using it as an example like I just did, I don't even use the term problematic to describe anything. I don't think I ever have, at least. I just see something for what it is, and then I try to form my own opinion about it. The Art of Thinking for Oneself. All right. Christian Zaz. There's Christian Zaz. My lovely novel is available on Amazon now. Such a mind-blowing romance you will definitely enjoy. Don't forget to share with friends too. Thank you. And this is Anastasia by Chris Zaz, or this is Chris Zaz's Anastasia. I don't know why I put it like that. Let me fix that. There we go. Yeah, almost like it's very surreal. Then almost like a crossover with would you call it like Lynchian, which I'm more familiar with. Like if something is very Lynchian, it's surreal. But Kafka-esque sounds like it's its own thing, and it's revolves more around like power struggles. All right. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it, Sam. All right. Anastasia. Let's hit the blurb. Anastasia, the young woman at the center of this story, had no clue that the young man she was falling in love with was nobody but her own sister's ex. Uh-oh. Frutella? That's her name? Frutella? Frutella, the caring older sister, didn't wish the same fate for her sibling under the same man that she knew perhaps better. The misunderstanding between sisters was just a drop in the ocean as a lot more hidden stories came from a dark past to emerge in a bright present to haunt their present lives. Love, heartbreak, and crime made such an entertaining cocktail to be tasted. That is Anastasia by Chris Saz. 110 pages of categorized under romance. Interesting. And like quite a bit of drama. Prepare a pot of tea for this one. All right, one more book to cover, and then we'll jump into another segment. If you guys have a book on the market currently or coming out soon, I want to know, even if it's on pre-order. Just get in contact with me through any of my social media. And I usually do writers lifts every 3 times a week on Twitter. You can jump in on any of those. We have a Discord I'm going to be talking about later on here. That's really, I mean, you don't have to get in. You can write me a little note. I like that. I'll read that on the live. But you don't have to. You can just share the link or give me the title of the book and the pen name of the author. And I'll give you a mention on a future live stream. Thanks. Steve Diamond writes, thanks, Jonathan. My debut title is a guidebook to discovering how we've learned to make ourselves tense and ill and how we can stop it. Let it all go and truly relax. The relaxation solution. This one, the relaxation solution, the secret to stress-free living by Stephen Diamond. Doesn't have to be fiction. We cover some nonfiction on here. Let's check this out. Does Stephen Diamond hold the secret to stress-free living? I like how the cover has the image of a sloth. Those sloths, they know what's up, man. Those sloths know how to live. I'll tell you that right now. Sloth. All right. Introducing a new mindfulness that's naturally open, effortless, and relaxing. In today's world, family life, finances, illness, and job demands all stress us, and we learn to respond to stress by tensing up. The relaxation solution takes us by the hand and shows how the modern world has taught us to be tense. Then it leads us to stop so we can truly relax. When we practice these meditations, we reverse the habitual tension response and instill a new habit of relaxation. Includes exclusive online access to 35 minutes of guided meditation audios, like getting a bonus CD with your book. 90 pages, the relaxation solution. Looks like there's quite a bit of different. He advertises on his Amazon page. He advertises some other products as well. It looks like he's got the guidebook, a workbook and journal coloring book for kids and adults. And well, there's different packages. There you go. You guys like a little bit of self-help in your daily diet? This is out there for your consumption. Okay, moving right along. I want to get into this. This is a newer segment that I've introduced to the Hangout stream. I want to kind of evolve this show like over time. Like it's not just about me pitching, we're not pitching, but raising awareness for other people's products, but also kind of get a little bit. The reason why I started this live stream is to encourage more engagement on the channel. And I want to get people talking. I want to get people discussing different ideas. And I want to kind of harbor a healthy attitude when it comes to collaborating and interacting with other content creators, and not just for my channel, but just in general within the creative sphere. So I have this segment that I call Hot Topic for Content Creators. Hot topic for content creators. I come up with a topic and I pitch it to other content creators out there. You can either leave a comment on a video talking about the hot topic, or you can go ahead and produce your own video pertaining to the topic. And then I, in turn, if you tag me in the video, then I can feature your video on the live stream, or I can bring up your comments on the live stream as well. Who's in the house? Oh, hell yeah, we got Rainer in the house. What's up, dude? Yeah, Sam, you just missed her. She was here just a little while ago. She's got to go do some stuff, but she stopped by. But I say, so comments. The reason why I wanted to bring up the hot topic that I had for this segment, I'm continuing it on. I will be coming up with other topics in the future, but I did not cover everything I wanted to cover, so I had to kind of break it up just to keep this live stream condensed to a certain runtime. But the topic was, is AI, artificial intelligence, that is, capable of creating art? That's question one. The second part of the topic was, I want to know what you guys think. What does it mean to separate the art from the artist? And can art become too far removed in this way, as far as it pertains to artificial intelligence? Because what we were talking about last week was how artificial intelligence is effectively a tool. That's what someone brought up, that artificial intelligence is effectively a tool, like a paintbrush is a tool to the painter. Now, I was arguing that it goes a little bit deeper than that, I think. It certainly affects artists, because now I brought up the application, the DALL-E application, and how that is effectively just making it so like people may not hire commissions anymore to do, like, say, like book covers and stuff like that, when they can just, why hire a commission when you're just going to have this AI tool that's effectively just going to create a cover for you, a book cover for you, and that be it. So it's like displacement. It's AI displacement. But I was like saying, yeah, but for me personally, I would deduct merit from that. I would say if you list, you got to have accreditation on your work. So if you use these tools to create your book covers or whatnot, you have to put that in the credits that you used an AI tool to use your book cover. And I think that is going to have a certain, there's going to be a certain stigma, I think, attached to that. Say, okay, he's, this is the type of person that's going to use AI over hiring an artist. It's not to say that it's positive or negative in any way. It's just, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to take away from the aesthetic value. The book cover may look beautiful, but it's just the fact that it didn't come from a human being, that it was generated by a machine. So in my eyes, that certainly although it may not necessarily take away from the artistic, if you want to call it that, value, it most certainly takes away from the artistic merit, because there was no time or effort. For me, I think time and effort certainly plays a role when it comes to creating art. And because time and effort is very much, I was thinking about this throughout the week. Midjourney, I've heard of it. I don't know what that, I've heard of that, but I don't know what that is. Is that another AI tool? But yeah, so it definitely takes away from artistic merit in my eyes. It's not necessarily to, would say to shit on anyone that would use an AI tool. But I just don't think, I don't know. For me, art is very much a cultural thing. So it's the further and further away we get from incorporating the human element of a piece of work, the further away a piece of work is from incorporating the human element to it, the closer we get to it just basically being a simulacra. The simulacra being an imitation of whatever it is. So even if the even if the work itself is portraying the human experience, because it didn't actually come from a real human being, it's really just a derivative. It's a simulation of the human experience. And I feel like even that, there's an argument to be made. What is it? It's AI drawing bot, still in beta. Okay. All right. So yeah, so similar. It can draw from prompts. It's not to say that it isn't amazing. Technology is coming a long way, but what I'm talking about here is art. Not talking about the work that it can generate. Sure, it could be stunning, it could be amazing, but is it art? You know what I mean? And for me, like I said before, art is very much a cultural thing. It's always been cultures. It's like a defining. Art is like what defines a culture in my eyes. Let me get into the comment. So I didn't cover this last week, and that's why I wanted to bring this up again. I want to make sure I get to it. I don't forget. And this is why, you guys, if you want to, if you guys want to leave a comment on past videos, I encourage you, especially if you're going to take the time and I appreciate you guys, you're going to take the time to leave a long, thoughtful comment on any of my videos. I encourage you to do so, because I'll bring it up I can bring it up during a live stream. I don't have so many people on the channel right now that it's basically an impossible task for me to do so. So I have absolutely no issue bringing up comments. That way I can cover it during the live stream and see what you guys have to say. So I encourage you, even if you guys don't catch me while I'm live, then just go ahead. You could always watch it on the replay, and I encourage you to leave a comment that way. All right. So this one, I don't know what's going on with the name. Sassaining Boober, Lacklow. I don't know who the user is. I think it's just a. I don't know who it is, but they say. Let me see. Is this coming up? You can sort of see it. There we go. That's better. All right. They say I love to read texts while juggling death of the author and death of the audience always in mind. While it helps me traverse new ideas, it can be time consuming to chase all the different glimmers. They go on to say, to riff off your brilliant, thought-provoking video, I think AI's role is to assist our techne around this. Imagine all the different texts in history that can be exegetized. Is that a made-up word? Let me. I had looked these up at one point. I forgot what they were. Just to add a little context here. Actually, I think it's pertaining to exegetical. Okay, so basically saying that AI would help us to interpret works, interpret the meaning of works is what they're basically getting at. So AI used as a tool to help us interpret the meaning of works, uncovering new ancestral truths. So they go on to say, my own fantasy is that AI may help us find clever ways to approximate, if you will, the contents of the books lost at Library of Alexandria. That keeps coming up, by the way. The Library of Alexandria thing seems to be that does seem to be quite a topic of discussion on the internet. Well, I don't know about topic of discussion, but it certainly gets referenced quite a bit. I've been noticing, especially around Booktube circles, no less, which may provide even more glimpses towards a sustainable formation of life that could very well prevent that type of event from ever taking place again. His final bit here says, in my honest opinion, technology will always be, quote, unalive, because art/theory combined is what has always guided creators towards the techne. Not 100% sure what they meant by that last line. I think basically just saying that technology has effectively been an extension of human beings. I think that's what they mean. I could be wrong. Art and theory. Art and theory are two. I also think that art and theory are kind of they kind of go hand in hand, but at the same time they're not. Like to say that all art contains theory, but not all theory is art, is basically how I would put that. What I mean by that is kind of riffing off using their word, but basically saying what we were talking about last time. How many tools does it take to create an artist? So say, just because someone uses all these AI tools, does that make them an artist? You know what I mean? How many tools does it take to make someone an artist? And Rainer, you had brought up the idea of auto tuning as well with like singers and stuff. Is the singer an artist if they're utilizing auto tune for every single track on their album? You know what I mean? These are rhetorical questions, but this is where I say theory and art. They go hand in hand, but not everybody who understands theory is automatically an artist. At least in my opinion. Like painters, because painting is just such an easy metaphor to use. I use painting a lot, even though I'm not a painter, but I do use it as a metaphor when describing art or art forms. You could teach someone theory when it comes to painting or drawing, for that matter. Someone can go to college and they can learn all the theory when it comes to illustration or painting, and they may learn techniques, painting techniques, and different theories of how to draw or paint a pretty picture. Okay? But does that make them an artist? Not necessarily. It just makes them very good at learning theory. They can learn all the theory and they can have the techniques in their tool belt, and they understand techniques, they understand theory, but that doesn't necessarily make them an artist. I think there's something that has been discussed before, but it's often referred to as the X factor. What is the X factor? It's a mysterious thing, but I think that it is directly linked to put simply, the imagination. But what is the imagination? We don't even have a complete understanding of what the imagination is. It's almost a metaphysical concept. Some have described it as the link between man and the divine creator, mankind's link with the divine creator. Like people who have a very vivid imagination, it's like almost like a spiritual thing. And I do find that very interesting, that one concept. What are you saying? Work by a bot versus work by an artist. Yes. And I was talking about how last week, like if it's work by a bot and you find out, even if it's pretty, if it looks pretty, okay, that doesn't necessarily make it art, because as soon as you find out it was made by a bot, well, it's almost like, like magic, if you will, or it could just be bias. I'm not going to rule that out either, but it loses it loses a certain essence about it. There's just a certain essence when art is created by a human being. It has that je ne sais quoi quality about it. Of course, that could just be the pretentious side of me talking, but nonetheless, we were talking about the X factor and how it's almost like mankind's divine connection with, or connection with a divine creator. That little painting where it's like the God figurehead and it looks like the brain and it's touching, the finger. I forget the name of the piece, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm not a scholar when it comes to specific works, but that's the imagination. And I don't think that no matter how many algorithms an artificial intelligence has running in the background, and like how that commenter said, how it's always quote unquote unalive. I agree in that aspect, that I don't think, no matter how self-aware an artificial intelligence may appear to be, is it actually, you know what I mean? Or is it just that all the algorithms running in the background make it appear to be more alive than what it actually is? And when it comes to mankind, and it's really just a big metaphor as well for how we understand mankind's consciousness. Do we really understand our own consciousness and where it derives from, its source, the source of our consciousness? Getting kind of deep here on it, but let me reel it back a little bit. Yeah, but here's the thing too. If our consciousness is just a collection of memories from our own personal experiences, But then that would not explain imagination though, unless that is what our imagination is, and it's just our mind playing tricks on us. That really our imagination is just an amalgamation of ideas that stem from past experiences. You know what I mean? Except our mind is basically rehashing them in a different form. But then again, but then there's the imagination of a child too. There's also the argument you could say, like, children have more vivid imaginations than adults do, in some regard. Maybe not necessarily when it comes to rationale and reasoning and dealing in logic, but just in terms of in a surrealist in a surreal type of sense, with coming up with different ideas in a more I don't know, off the wall, chaotic, or like seemingly out of nowhere, or from a divine source, if you will. Maybe because they're fresh out of the womb and their soul or their spirit is, still becoming acclimated to their new environment. Who knows? What else is he saying here? But there's the notion that imagination is nothing but the ability to combine elements in memory. Yeah, then the bot can do just that and much more. Yeah, I made you a mod. Figured you're always in here, might as well. Why not? Well, you are. You have the power. All right. Well, you guys, this topic is going on. This isn't just a one and done. There's a lot to be talked about in terms of this topic. So if you guys want to make a video on your own YouTube channels, tag me in it, and I'll feature your video, and I'll react or respond to your video. Or if you just want to leave a comment on the topic, go ahead, leave a comment down below, and I will feature that in a future live stream. And I will probably be coming up with more hot topics in the future, but I feel like this one is a large enough topic, and these are ongoing. So anytime you have something new to say or bring to the table about this topic, because I think that this is a pretty deep topic, even though I feel like I've said quite a bit, I still feel like I'm just scratching the surface of this. So there's still a lot to be discussed, and it is relevant for our times and into the future, as it will, I do think that it will be affecting, whether it be, you could talk about the effects of AI, whether it be economically, culturally, politically. You could take this in all different types of angles. You could look at this all different types of angles if you want. Oh yeah, I'm not worried about it. I don't, Rainer, I don't expect you to be here every live stream. I just figured I just put you in there, and I just put it like that. You don't have to. You're not obligated to show up at all. I just figured, since you have been showing up regularly, I figured, what the hell. All right, let's get into some announcements. I do have a few announcements to make. I got the regular announcements, and I do have some special announcements to make. But as far as your own announcements, I don't. If you guys want me to, if you guys have any projects that you're working on, I think that I watch a lot of. One thing I've been getting into on YouTube is watching Comicsgate. And I noticed there's a lot of people out there in the Comicsgate realm of YouTube. And you guys all do Kickstarters and Indiegogo campaigns. So all you guys that are in the Comicsgate realm of YouTube, and you do comic book campaigns, reach out to me. Just go ahead, interact, engage with me, leave me a comment, send me a link to your campaign, and that basically will give me permission to, and I'll feature your campaign and mention it during a live stream. See if I can't help you guys get some more eyeballs on your project that way, and give me a little something to talk about, a little extra to talk about and cover during this segment. I'm definitely down with that. I've covered comic books before. I'm not a huge comic book guy myself. I do think they're cool. I just haven't. I up until this point, I just haven't gotten into comic books just yet. Not to say, who knows? I'm kind of a Renaissance man. Who knows? I might get into comic books at some point. I might want to produce a comic book at some point and do a collaborative project with some artists out there. Who knows? But as of right now, I'm a independent author. Some of you may know. I mostly focus on short stories. Around the 10,000 word mark is my specialty. That's what I'm aiming to perfect as my form of storytelling. Short stories around the 10,000 word mark. Basically, what it boils down to, they're roughly around 45-minute reads is what they are. So it's short fiction under 1 hour. And I try to, I feel like that's kind of a sweet spot for the type of subject matter that I like to write about. I try to get into, I like stories that have a message. I like stories that go a little bit deeper, challenge you psychologically. They're a little bit more thought-provoking, but also entertaining as well. I try to make it, they are marketed towards adults. So there is like some, a lot of my stories will have graphic imagery, that type of stuff, but I don't get too gratuitous with it. Everything that I try to put into my stories, it's in there for a purpose. It's not just violence or sex and violence just for the sake of it, and without aim, rhyme, or reason. It's usually to accentuate some sort of point that I'm trying to make or bring across to the reader, or get the reader to reflect upon. So my one announcement that I have so later this week, this Thursday, I have a special Master in Class presentation on story structure that will be premiering this Thursday. That is August 25th. It will be 9 p.m. You can check that out. It's pre-recorded, so, but I will be there during the premiere. So we will have, it's an actual event. I have set it up so it's an actual event. If you can make it, you can. If not, the video demand will be there. You could always just leave a comment, questions after the fact. And this isn't something where it's like me and I'm trying to lecture, like it's me preaching to the choir. I don't want it to come across as being that way. I know that a lot of my audience are people who are established writers and authors who have put out their own work, and I understand that. And I don't, and for me, what this is just like, this is probably the most Authortube thing that I've put out. I do advertise my channel as being an Authortube type channel. Yeah. I'd like to see you stop by. That'd be great. But like I was saying, this is just like I do advertise my channel as like an Authortube type channel, but I've yet to put out any type of advice type videos. But I thought instead of doing like an advice type video, I basically just do my own version of a lesson, of a webinar type or seminar type video, teaching what I know as far as when it comes to story structure and developing your craft as a writer. And now, like I said, this isn't me trying to preach to the choir as much as it's just, if people that are aspiring writers come across my channel, I have something that to offer them as aspiring writers to kind of encourage them, or at least put them on the right track in terms of developing their own craft. because I don't think that there's one right way or necessarily a wrong way of story when it comes to storycraft. I do think that, and I will explain that in this video, that there are alternative, more experimental ways of storytelling that would fall under the category of stream of consciousness storytelling. However, I do think that if you're an aspiring writer and you have not produced anything on your own yet, I think that it is good to start with the fundamentals. Learn the theory first, if you will. So get some theory under your belt and understand the fundamentals of storytelling. And I go a little bit deeper than just the fundamentals. So for those of you who are writers already and you've put out works, you still may be interested to join me for this video. It's less than a half hour long, so it's not going to take up too much of your time. But I do go a little bit deeper than maybe the typical stuff that you would maybe see on another Authortuber's channel. So I go into different things in terms of structure, but I go a little bit deeper than maybe the basic type of things that you would know. I don't want to talk too much about it because I want to let the video speak for itself. But yeah, that will premiere this Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. The idea crossed my mind that I might start doing a second live stream during the week on Thursday nights. We'll see how this time works for me with the schedule, see who shows up for this, because I've been kind of advertising this across different platforms. And we'll see how it goes. And I might start a second weekly live stream, and do it on Thursday, but it's going to be a different format though. So like this is more of a chill, like I want to talk about other people's work. Whereas if I do a Thursday stream, it might be more of like a workshop based stream where I go into the stream with a specific goal in mind of achieving every stream that would be like writing related. Because I want to start writing some more flash fiction so I can get into other anthologies and stuff like that aside from my own short story works. So flash fiction, doing specifically works that are around 1,000 to 1,500 words, which is a very difficult task to kind of condense a story and have a complete story, like a story that actually has a beginning, middle, and end, and have it fall within 1,000 to 1,500 words. It's harder than you may think. Arguably more difficult than, say, doing like something that's 5,000 words or 10,000 words, where you have a little bit more room, or say even a novella. I wouldn't go as far as it's easy. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's more difficult than doing a novel, because a novel is a very big project that I think a lot of people underestimate when they get into writing. They think they can just do a NaNoWriMo and that's it. And that's a complete piece. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into writing a novel. A lot, even if you're a pantser and not a plotter, it's a lot of work, a lot of time too, and a lot of focus needed to see that one project from beginning to end. Because for me, that's the biggest thing. Like shorter projects, shorter formats, like I could have enough focus to say, okay, I'm going to do this one project from beginning to end because I know it's only going to be X amount of words. I'm dealing with either 1,500 words for my flash fiction, or I'm doing 10,000 words for my short stories. And that's it. I have an end goal. Whereas a novel could go on. A novel could be 100,000 words. A novel could be 200,000 words. You're talking a huge project. You're talking a huge timeline of production needed and focus to see that project from beginning to end and make a quality product that's not, it's not rough. So speaking of writing, we do have a new resident at the Hotel del SS. I am quite excited about that. Anytime. This is a side project that I've started this year for 2022. I put the photo on here. A little side project, if you will, of the Hotel del SS is basically a new segment of my blog where all the members of the Storytellers Society stay. And if you want to expand your creative portfolio, if you will, you can write a piece of flash fiction and submit it to the Storyteller Society on the website livefreeliverich.com. You can click on the networks tab, and there's a spot on there for writer submissions. It's a simple, easy, straightforward form. Just go ahead, fill out the form. If you got a piece of work, that's all I ask is that it's your own original work. You own the copyright to the work, and yeah, it doesn't even have to be exclusive either. In other words, it's fine with me if you have that work published someplace else. Basically, all you're doing is when you submit the work through the website, what you're doing is you're giving me permission to publish the work on my blog. And that's all that is. So basically, I handle all the marketing. So if you want to, it just gives you some extra credit as a writer. Collaborate with me on that. We can build a little peer-to-peer, business-to-business relationship, if you will. And yeah, helps me out, helps you out, and it's a happy deal. And it's also only the first phase of this project. This is just something that I decided to try on for size for this year. But the blog, publishing on the blog is only the first phase of this project. I do have a vision for this project to take it in a direction where I develop a web series and maybe have stories that are based upon either the entries that were submitted, or I collaborate with those of you contributors that are members of the Storyteller Society, and we work together to either we can publish an anthology, or we could write or have you guys write something if you want to do something new and have that be part of a web series. I don't know the exact direction I'm going to take it. I'm just saying this is phase one. I'm just basically trying to build some interest and see who wants to get involved. And if enough people get involved where it's worthwhile to seek those endeavors, then I'll see. And there may be monetary, there may be some monetary interest later on down the road if it goes in that direction. Speaking of expanding creative portfolios, just this past week, I made my voice acting debut on a channel called Doorway to Nightmare. Some of you guys may be familiar. They were featured. An episode was featured on the live stream, probably I think it was last month. And I was so compelled. I was so compelled that to reach out to the creators of the show and see if I couldn't try my hand at maybe doing some voice acting for them. And I sent them an audition. Things went well. They got back in contact with me, and I had my debut just this past week. I'll leave a link to that video. I won't play it on the stream, but I'll leave a link to their channel and that video specifically in the description. I don't know. It's a new avenue for me, I have to say. Doorway to Nightmare. They're doing fun. It's a fun and exciting show, I have to say. It's kind of it's a different form of storytelling. It's dramatic audio storytelling. So think old school AM radio programming type deal, like the old timey shows that you'd listen to on AM radio. That's the type of stuff that they do. Yeah, exciting stuff. It was fun, I have to say. They did pick me up. I am going to be kind of I guess a reoccurring cast member. I don't know. It's just kind of up in the air. We'll see how things go. I will say that I have received a handful of scripts. Whether or not they use it, that's up to them. But you can stay tuned. I will be posting them. I'll be updating my blog. If on the networks tab in the featured media section, I will be updating every time there's an episode that airs that I was acting in. So that was pretty cool. I thought it was interesting, and maybe this could lead to other ventures in the future. And I was thinking, and it's fun because I'm learning a lot too about how to put something like this together. And like I was saying before, with Storytellers Society, I mean, maybe that's an avenue down the road, coming up with a web series where it's like that form of storytelling, and then seeing you guys could see your stories kind of come to life, but in like almost like a screenwriting type of way, and your characters, you can hear your characters being acted out. But maybe you wouldn't want it that. I don't know. Maybe you'd have a specific vision, but I would work with you guys anyways. If I ever turned it into a web series where I'd have like real voice actors and turn it into a whole production like that, I would definitely work with you guys. Any of you guys, like if I was, in other words, like say if I was to write an adaptation, like I reach out to you, for instance, I would reach out to you and say, hey, Rainer, I want to write an adaptation of such and such story that you contributed to the Storytellers Society. Get your take on it, work with you on that, collaborate with you, and there would be an exchange and a dialogue where we talk about these things. And that's the direction. Because a lot of this is about engagement and trying to become and build an actual collaborative and professional relationship with my peers. And I think that this is not only a productive way of going about and doing that, but it's also a beneficial way where it's like it helps you, it helps me, and at the end of the day, we build a familiarity with each other. But at the same time, it's not just shooting the breeze. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm saying at the end of the day, we're still collaboratively, we're working towards some sort of goal that is beneficial to the both of us. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm about. Yeah. I have no problem with just hanging out, shooting the breeze and this and that, but I don't want that to be how all of my time is spent. Like, I want the majority of my time. I'm the type of person, like, I feel guilty if I'm not spending my time working towards some sort of goal or attaining some sort of achievement. That's just how my mind works. I'm a pragmatic individual in that way. All right, so that's it for news. Let me get into reading time, and this will be it for tonight. We're already closed in. We're already over an hour. Reading time. If you guys have something that you would like me to read live during the stream, this could be a piece of poetry, this could be an essay, this could be an editorial, or it could be short fiction, flash fiction. It could come from your own blog, it could come from a Kindle Vella, it could come from your Wattpad, it could be your fan fiction if you want. I'll read all of that stuff if you guys want a shout out that way. Also, sometimes we would have videos. I'll let you guys know if you want to jump ahead in the queue and you want to be featured during a live stream. Suggest a video. Share some links to some video content. It could be a book trailer. It could be you reading your own poetry or reading your own stories or a web series or any of the above, like I mentioned before. Or anytime you tag me in a video. So you tag me in a video. This could be you reviewing any of my work, and I may check that out. Whether it just be to watch it, and if you're roasting my ass in your video, and you're talking about how my work is complete trash, what you get to do is you get to tune in live and watch me get red in the face while someone roasts my ass on YouTube. If you guys want to do that, hey, I'm game. I'll be a good sport. What can I say? I won't even, I'll tell you what, I'll tie both hands behind my back and I won't even take a crack at your ass in response. I'll just sit there and take my whippings like a man. How about that? So open invitation to roast my ass. You guys, you want to do that? Go right ahead and I'll air it live. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Rainer. Appreciate you, brother. All right, let's get into reading time. Wrap this up. Who do we got? This one comes from Dusty Roberts. Dusty Roberts writes, have you ever had the feeling that sometime, somewhere, you missed a clue and took the wrong fork in the road? Have you considered going back to where you missed the clue and maybe travel the fork you missed the first time? That's a compelling, a nice little hook there to introduce the work. This is The Missing Fork in the Road by Dusty Roberts via Kindle Vella, his Kindle Vella. I do have some things to say about Kindle Vella at some point in time. I will bring that up later. Now is not the time, running low on time. So maybe if I'm reminded or if I think about it, I'll bring it up at a later time. But Kindle Vella has been a topic of conversation lately as well. And I would like to share some more insights about that because I know there's a lot of people that are getting interested in the platform, and I think that there's some things that they should know before doing so. All right, The Missing Fork in the Road by Dusty Roberts. This is the blurb, I guess. Have you ever had the feeling? Okay. Oh, I guess that was the same thing as the tweet. So we'll hop right into it. We want episode 1, The Witching Hour. Episode 1. Okay, very good. It has tormented me for years. Have you ever had the feeling that sometime, somewhere in your life, you missed a clue and took the wrong fork in the road? Most of us are cognizant of the place and the time when we missed our tie-in, and we know we can't go back. Not me. Oh, I know I can't go back in time. But my gut tells me that whatever I missed is still there in that place. Quantico was my place. A Marine Corps base in Virginia, a town where many men and women left with a one-way ticket through the gates of hell. There was no such thing as a round trip. The person they were when they left no longer existed once they embarked on the journey. They returned home in one of two ways, a coffin or drowning in post-traumatic stress disorder, a dimension of the mind that nourishes those stowaway nightmares, the images that they tucked into bed forever, ghosts of the gore of war, day or night. They testify, ghouls that haunt your soul. I left Quantico 40 years ago. Sometimes I wonder if the return ticket in a coffin would have spared me from her. She was a drunk, a mean drunk, the worst kind of alcoholic. Did I do something in our 35 years of marriage to make her that way? Or had I exacerbated her actions? Why did I see her like that? Was it to provide a guilt-free key that would free me from the shackles of for better or for worse? That I can't tell you. What I do know is that I couldn't live another day in that environment. I had to run or die. I chose to run. I left Atlanta at the witching hour, right before the hallowed week of Christmas. I knew how she would perceive it, but I didn't care. My 4 children who were coming home for the holidays, I didn't care. My 4 children who were coming home for the holidays, that made my heart ache. But the pain of staying outweighed my vivid imagination of their despair. The F-150 bore through the mist of the dark and gloomy highway, on the eerie canvas of fog that lay ahead. The headlights brushed the faces of those whose candles had burnt out as the winds of war took its toll. I saw those I had taken and those taken from me. The nightmares continue. With each passing mile, the anguish of loneliness tightened around my neck like a hangman's noose. I thought of turning back, but there was nothing to go back to. The worst thing was not that I was alone. It was that the people I thought loved me made me feel alone. But maybe it wasn't them. Perhaps the coals of hell I had walked upon left my soul in ashes, and now my heart was incapable of loving anyone. Her ringtone played on my cell phone. I guess she had noticed my pillow was headless when the binge of the evening's alcohol wore off. Up to quench her thirst, or pee, the absence of a snoring man's symphony must have been her first clue. I like the narrative prose here. It's very strong. She probably searched the house, then finally checked for the old Ford truck. I was sure she'd go back to bed once I didn't answer. I hoped she wouldn't call the kids. They would be too difficult to ignore. As the first glimmers of sunlight bounced off the wall of trees that lined the highway, I realized the silent cell phone confirmed my theory. She went back to bed. After that night, I never heard that ringtone again. Tired and nodding out at the wheel, I was about 4 hours short of Quantico. Primeval singing and 4 open windows no longer did the trick. I would fall asleep behind the wheel if I didn't rest. I knew I wouldn't go back. The fork in the road I missed was calling. The highway signs for the next exit were void of any hotels. A couple of exits later, as the cold wind became intolerable, the hotel showed up. I took the next exit and chose Motel 6. I pulled into the Motel 6 parking lot. They left the light on for me, all right. The no vacancy light. Tired beyond belief, the stress and emotional heartache didn't help. I parked and headed for the front entrance. Hopefully I could find out what was available nearby. I opened the door to what I thought would be the lobby and stepped into the small compartment which looked more like a security checkpoint. The woman behind the counter, protected by security glass, was fast asleep. She looked like she needed it. A plastic tent dignified her name with white letters inscribed on a red background, Mary Finnegan. A cigarette was still wedged between her fingers and hung over the edge of the ashtray. An ashtray that seemed like it hadn't been emptied since World War II. Then I noticed she was smoking non-filtered Camels. I didn't even think you could buy them anymore. Ugh. Her nicotine face was wrinkled and dry, a woman in the autumn years of her life. Her gray hair, parted right down the middle of her scalp, hanging limply from both sides. She wore a dress, a thrift shop special, which showed no signs of having ever been graced by a hot iron. A little bit of snark there. I was desperate, but not enough to wake her up. I watched her, leaning back comfortably in her desk chair. as the saliva made its way down the side of her mouth to a black and blue spot on her chin. I noticed a cut along her left cheek, which was still healing. No doubt would leave a scar. I dared not imagine her situation at home, and now I wondered if the wife I ran away from might someday end up in a job like this. I felt my heart ache. I guess I still loved her. I pulled out my wallet and slipped out a Jackson, then shoved it through the opening on the bottom of the safety glass. Quietly, I made my way back to the F-150. Sitting in the old truck, I took a deep breath, slipped my iPhone out of my pocket, then tapped on Google Maps, searching for nearby hotels. He just gave her money, just randomly. Interesting characterization here. Tapped on Google Maps, searching for nearby hotels. I dialed the 2 other hotels I could see from my vantage point, but no luck. On this exit, not too far down the road, there was another, the Finnegan Gateway Hotel. Didn't her name tag say Mary Finnegan? Maybe her family owned it. Nah, must be a coincidence. I called. They had a room. I offered a credit card payment to hold it, but they said they only took cash. A novelty in this day and age. I left the parking lot and turned left, away from the highway, off ramps, making my way down the pitch-black road. It was one of those old country roads with faded lines and useless shoulder and steep drop-offs on both sides. I hated driving on strange roads in low light conditions, especially ones with dangerous curves. My eyes and reflexes weren't what they used to be. I couldn't safely do more than 20 miles per hour, me, a former Marine Corps pilot, and I couldn't look down at the Google map, and worse than that, now I had to take a leak. At my age, there was no warning. Either I felt nothing or the dam was about to burst. I began searching for a spot to pull over, but of course, it started to rain. And I don't mean drizzle. It was like the curtain came down on the show. Waterfalls disguised as rain tormented the visibility. When it rains, it pours. You know what it feels like the moment you realize that if you don't relax your grip, you'll strangle the steering wheel. I slowed down, hoping that I wouldn't be killed careening off the road into a ravine, especially after all I'd been through. The image of my children getting the news devastated me. I guess my wife might be upset as well, but I wasn't sure. I just hoped she would share the life insurance with the kids. I should have pulled over or stopped the moment it started to rain, but that door had closed. I could no longer see the road. My first thought was to keep the steering wheel motionless and slowly come to a stop, hoping that I hadn't trespassed onto one of the haunted curves. I never knew what to expect from the Grim Reaper, but when a blinding flash of light and unmistakable G-forces graced my senses, I knew I'd soon be making his acquaintance. The old truck was no longer on the road. It felt light. Any movement of the steering wheel had no effect. I must have gone off a cliff. My cheeks were being pushed inward, and it sounded like a freight train was storming past me. I waited for my death calmly. When is it going to happen? The time for action was when the rain had started. I could only hope that when the old truck hit, I would be killed instantly. I didn't want to sit there gasping for a fruitless breath. Boom! There it is. The front tires hit first. I anticipated the steering wheel crushing my chest, accompanied by the crumbling windshield and plastic shrapnel from the dashboard. But next, I felt the back tires hit, and the shocks bottom out, then sprung back hard. The G-forces stopped. The sound of the rattling locomotive gone. No havoc inside the truck. Then the bright light dissipated, and only a dusty gray scene remained. Looking ahead, all I could see was a gray membrane that the bumper of the old truck seemed to be stretching forward. I began to feel car sick. I'd never been sick in a vehicle before. Most pilots never get motion sickness. I felt like the truck was straining against a rubber band, stretching it towards its breaking point. I heard a pop, then I saw the dark road again. No rain, no fog. I pulled over quick before I threw up in the truck. I stopped as close to the side as possible, got out and ran to the front of the truck, bent forward and vomited on the road. I held on to, I thought he was only going like 20 something miles an hour. He said he went off a cliff though. I held on to the front bumper while I recovered. Finally, I stood back up and looked around. There it was, directly across the street, the Finnegan Gateway Hotel. Well, that's convenient. At least the faded yellow glow of the hotel portion of the sign still pierced the foreboding mist of the night, but only 4 letters brightly glowed in the distinguishing name of the hotel. I drove up the steep driveway. Oh, the truck was still operational. That's interesting. I drove up the steep driveway and onto the parking lot. No wonder they didn't take a credit card to secure the room. I had my choice of any spot. Obviously, I was their only guest. I pulled into the spot nearest to the lobby door, grabbed my overnight bag, and walked in. My mission tonight was to grab some shut-eye. Well, not bad. I will say not bad for a first episode. Introduced the character. You gave a little bit of backstory. Introduced the character. There's an event. You set the plot in motion at least. Why is he on the road? Why is he leaving? Or that he is leaving his family. A little bit about the character and some situations where we get a little bit of characterization through show don't tell, like leaving the money for the battered woman at the Motel 6, just giving a little clues as to the type of character we're dealing with here. Not bad. In terms of hooking me, I don't know enough yet. I don't know exactly what kind of story this is just yet. I will say that. I'm not sure what kind of a story I'm getting into here. Is this like a memoir type thing? Is this fictional? Is this because it's in the first person, it's a little bit confusing to me. I'm not going to lie. And it does not outwardly say, I think it does say the categories. Let me bring that up again. The tags for the story says time travel, second chance. Okay, so it is fiction, science fiction, romance. Science fiction, romance, time travel, military, science fiction. However, the word alien is one of the tags for this story. So maybe the plot thickens at some point. I will leave a link in the description down below if you guys wish to continue The Missing Fork in the Road by Dusty Roberts. And that is it for me this week, ladies and gentlemen. And readers and writers alike, peers in the creative sphere, I will be here for you people next week. This same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. Have a good week, and I'll be in touch. Cheers.